Welcome to the latest edition of Doing It Differently. This week we are joined by our good friends from Spy Alarms and Hugo de Beer. Welcome, Hugo.
Thank you. Welcome.
So Hugo, tell us a little bit about yourself and Spy. What do you guys do, and what's your background?
Yeah, so Spy Alarms is installer and maintainer of intruder systems and fire alarm systems, and Spy really is a M&A story. Our journey started 12 years ago when we acquired our first business down in Canterbury called Guardian for Security, and since then we've sort of been on a bit of a journey really. We've acquired sort of I think we're 31 now. In the last 12 years, so we've rapidly grown, and all our acquisitions is in the southeast. We focus in the southeast, and that's where we want to grow and build some density. Um, I suppose our attention has slightly shifted in the last 2 years. We've really started looking at the commercial element of this world, but actually at the core of Spy, we are a domestic intruder business. We install intruder systems in domestic houses, and then we maintain them and make sure that we keep customers safe.
So how many customers have you got? How many clients have you got out there with intruder alarms?
Today we've got circa 70,000 customers scattered all over Kent, Surrey, and London mainly.
Yeah.
And then we have a few that's sort of a bit further away, but mainly in the Kent, Surrey, London area.
Okay, and typically, what I guess you've got to install alarm systems, you've got to maintain them. Is different types of visits you've got to go to.
Yeah, exactly. We like I said at the core, we install and maintain, and we don't build anything.
Yeah.
So we buy it from a distribution business. Obviously, get manufactured in China, but we buy it from a distribution business, and then we chuck it against the wall, and program it. And then
Yeah.
the customer signs up with agreement with us, where we then look after the customer for the rest of their life. We make sure that the batteries get replaced once a year. We go out, we service everything, make sure everything's working. Some of our alarms has got monitoring, which means if the alarm activates, it actually sends a signal to the police or a list of friends and family members called key holders. We check that those signaling go through. So yeah, a customer signs up with agreement with us, and we maintain that system. And then obviously, it also gives them 365 days cover during the year. So
Yeah.
if something does happen to go wrong, a low battery or a sensor fails or anything like that, they can phone us during working hours, but they can also phone us at 2 o'clock in the morning. We've got on-call engineers that will go out whenever they need us.
Yeah. Okay. And how many engineers do you have to cover those 70,000 clients?
Today we've got 120.
Yeah.
And our engineering team is split into sort of three main groups. We've got our install team. They're the guys that the customers see first. So they're the guys that go out and install the system and program it and making sure it works. And then after that, we have a sort of a reactive and maintenance team. So the maintenance teams are the guys that on a regular basis go out and service these systems. And then we have a reactive team where they will go out if there's a fault on the system, or the customer requires an upgrade, or wants to replace the system or extend the system if they've got a new building or whatever. But our reactive guys go and save the day, and our
Yeah.
maintenance guy go out every day and just make sure the system ticks along.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm guessing the commercial element you talked about then is big office buildings that have got access systems and
Yeah,
advanced
correct.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
correct. Yeah, I mean, Spy has always had a commercial element to it. We
Yeah.
always did domestic houses, and we always
Mm.
did commercial buildings. We always had some fairly big schools, and Kent County Council was one of our big customers. But at the core, we are very domestic orientated. We've always been.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 years, it just so happens that we've acquired um, commercial only businesses, fire
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
And that just meant our footprint in the commercial world has slightly increased. It will never take over our domestic side. Our domestic side
No.
is the core
Bread
side
and
of our
butter.
business. Yeah, it's our bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I mean the work is pretty much the same, but I guess the actual procurement process is a lot different in a domestic world than it is in a commercial environment.
Yeah, the commercial world is a lot more unpredictable, and actually it is more complicated. Where
Yeah,
in the domestic world, a typical install takes you a day to 2 days.
yeah,
Um, where in the commercial world, you're dealing predominantly with facilities management companies,
yeah,
which means it's big project work. You can be on site for 100 to 200 days.
yeah.
But it also means to win that project, you have to go through a tender process,
And
and
process. Yeah,
it's a lot longer and a lot more complicated. And it's something that we've always sort of by choice stayed away from.
yeah,
But actually, in the last couple of years, we sort of getting more into it. We now have project managers, which we've never had. We've got three of
yeah,
them
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
solely their sole job is to manage big projects.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's something we're dabbling in at the moment. But yeah, I don't think it will ever overtake our core fundamentals of
No.
Spy, which is two down, two up sort of domestic customer. That's what we enjoy doing.
Okay, so tell us about your kind of M&A journey. You mentioned there at the beginning. I guess you're acquiring lots of small owner-managed or businesses that have a bunch of alarms they look after, and you need to bring those in. That's been part of the challenge, right? Is to bring those teams in, bring that data in, and that operation into one central system.
Yeah, exactly. It's our M&A journey is exactly that. We acquire. They do vary. Sometimes small family-run businesses,
Yeah,
and sometimes they can be a little bit bigger and a little bit more complicated. But the majority of them are businesses we know well. It's businesses similar to ours. It's the
yeah,
same process, same
yeah,
systems, same
yeah,
concept. And yeah, with that does come challenges because we fundamentally believe that we want to feel like a local provider. That's always been
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah,
stance. Our stance
yeah,
is we don't want to be this big commercial machine. We want to
yeah,
be have the bespoke, personalized service,
yeah,
and that is a challenge because when a customer gets used to an engineer knocking on the door and it's the same engineer that she's
yeah, yeah,
seen for
yeah,
20 years, when we acquire them, it doesn't mean she's going to get that same engineer. Our
yeah,
engineering teams it's much bigger. So I suppose from a pure operations perspective, our biggest challenge, and it's something that we really care about, is to make sure we don't lose that small family feel, local touch to our customer service.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, absolutely. And Hugo, tell us a bit about yourself. What's your background? What are you doing now?
Mm.
And did Hugo at, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years old think he'd be doing what he's doing now? What does your journey look like to?
Yeah. So I'm going to start where I am now, and then tell you
Go
how I
for it?
started,
Yeah,
because it is a bit of a weird story actually. So my job today is I'm basically CTO for the group, but also slash technical director, and it's sort of a role that is split across multiple things, but mainly to do with technical bits, right?
yeah,
So it goes from managing our licenses from our business 365 licenses to our Dynamics licenses, to someone struggling to plug a monitor in and I need to look at it, to
yeah,
Office not loading, whatever. So and our servers downstairs and our cyber essentials, and so lots of little bit of IT stuff.
yeah,
But the majority of my time goes into building and designing Microsoft um, field service with you guys.
yeah,
That's majority of what I do today. But where my life started as a 13-year-old, I was running around outside. I was not interested in computers. It was not something that interested me at all.
yeah,
Actually, I didn't go to uni to study it. I actually went to study sports science.
yeah,
So as you can see, my life took a real 360 turn on that. But it just so happens that actually when I started at Spy 10 years ago, I was working on the service desk, and ended up leading the service team for the 7 years thereafter, becoming the service director. And over that period of time, our software solution was start sort of creaking at the seams. It was a system that was designed and built in the 1980s, and due to our success of M&A, it couldn't hold all the data we were putting into it. And then, but more importantly, we needed a more grown-up, bespoke solution, which led us to implementing field service. But I suppose for me, how I got from a boy running around in a field dreaming about playing for the Springboks to
Yeah.
IT, it was actually to do with when I was running the service desk. I felt we were quite data hungry.
Yeah.
We needed more data than what the system gave us,
Yeah.
and that's why I started playing around with ODBC connectors and pulling data out in an Excel spreadsheet. And then I realized quickly that it was a SQL database. I didn't even know what SQL was at that time, but I
Yeah.
had to so I had to I'm a self-taught SQL writer. So basically,
Right.
whatever YouTube and Google told me to do, that's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I taught myself a little bit of SQL, and with that sort of I could put some reports together. And then by the time when we decided that we needed a more grown-up CIM solution, I suppose I was probably not the best choice, but I was the only choice at the time at Spy to take it on
I think that's an
and
interesting
drive
point
it.
because by that point you knew everything about service delivery in your business. You knew
Yeah,
everything about your
I
business.
did.
You know all the
And
nuances, all the challenges, all the problems. And although you think you're not the best person, you are the best person because people within the business are the best people to bring out those types of services and get the best results.
Yeah, what I think what helped me a lot is because I did some SQL work that
Yeah.
worked really well for us in the service department. We actually started using that in different departments, so in the sales
Yeah.
department, and accounts and so on and so forth. And what that meant was I got insight on those departments and those processes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
they work and what they do. So because I had to understand what data needed to pull, and then
Yeah.
what I started really enjoying actually is it's a bit that I didn't actually really thought about, but the bit that I really enjoyed was analyzing the data, is looking at it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
right, what works, what doesn't work, and how can
Yeah.
we use this? Because there's one thing pulling data,
Yeah.
you need to do something with it.
Yeah.
So what I really enjoyed was actually looking at it and going, right, what was our conversion rate? For example, in sales, we wanted to know our conversion rate by surveyor, by system type, who was good at what,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, which allowed me then to really understand not just the service process, because I knew that anyway, because I was working in the
Yeah.
service department, but I got to understand the processes across the
Yeah. Yeah.
whole company. Um, and yeah, so that probably put me in the best position to take on this challenge of implementing an CIM system.
Yeah. Okay. I guess move forward from there. How did you? What made you decide on Microsoft? I guess, and what made you decide on Infinity? What was the process you went through? And yeah, why did we land up working with you guys?
Yeah, so when we finally made the decision to it was driven by COVID, if I have to be honest.
Yeah.
We COVID hit all businesses across the world, and for us, it was a bit of a wake up call, really, because yeah, we are a technology business, but actually, our in-house solutions was a bit dated. So when COVID came around, as I think the first step we did is we got IP solutions on our phones. We had to because we had it. We needed a solution where people can go home and work from home.
Yeah.
So we installed the IP solution, and then once that was in, we actually realized, look, we need to take this further. Our CIM system is falling apart. We had to split it into 3 databases just to hold the
Yeah.
data. So that's what really drove us to make the decision. And we then went through the normal process, I think that everyone goes through, which is a tender process. We started talking to different solutions. Like I said, I've never done it. So I
Yeah.
didn't know really what I was looking for. I was very
Yeah.
raw, very green into this whole thing. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at everything. I wanted to look at the sort of big solutions, but I was also looking at sort of more local solutions.
Bespoke, specific kind of alarm solutions out the box type thing.
Specific alarm solutions,
Yeah.
but also non-alarm solutions, but it
Okay.
was a lot smaller than Microsoft,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that we could use. But I think we fairly early on in that process we realized we needed a grown-up solution.
Yeah.
So we then, like I said, we went then through meeting lots of people and lots of demos and really taking our time. And right at the end, we ended up with two solutions that we thought was viable for our business, which was Salesforce and Dynamics.
Yeah.
And they were the last two standing in the ring. And then it was time to start talking to partners. And again, like I said, I had no idea how this works. At
Yeah.
that point, I found out that Microsoft has partners
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
deliver their solutions. I started talking to different partners and stuff. And I have to be honest with you, Rob, I think the reason we went with Microsoft, a big part of that was Infinity.
Right. Okay.
We felt, or I felt at the time of meeting you guys, it was you guys understood our requirements really well.
Yeah.
The short period of time we spent with you guys, I felt that you guys had the skill set to deliver what we need.
Yeah.
So that really made the decision a lot easier for us to go with Microsoft because I felt we found the right partner to deliver our solution.
Yeah.
So yes, to be honest with you, we went with Microsoft because you guys were great.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you've got a good sales team, Rob.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. But I mean, that was what, 3 years ago now.
That was just 3 years ago. Yeah, that was 3 years ago. And then we started the journey, and actually, um, I met with a few consultants
Yeah.
before we started the journey, and they all scared the life out of me. And they all said, by the way, whatever your budget is it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you set a budget and you deliver it on time in
Yeah.
budget
Yeah. Yeah.
successfully.
Yeah.
And I sort of quietly, I think, I remember going home one day and going, "This is a challenge that I accept."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we started working on it with you guys, and not to spoil the ending, but actually our first phase that we discovered,
Yeah.
we delivered on time and in budget. So not only, Rob, did you guys have a good sales team convince us to go with you guys, but you actually delivered
Yeah.
on that promise. The journey started with Adam Gray, the functional
Yeah. Yeah.
consultant
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that time, Adam Gray, and he was great. So yeah, it's been a real success story for us.
So talk about that phase one. What, I guess, what the process of looking at the different elements of your business and
hmm
where I guess you can make the most impact as quickly as possible. What was phase one, and why did you choose phase one as phase one?
Yeah, phase one was a as an MVP phase, right? What was our minimum requirements that we needed to make the
Yeah.
business run? We
Yeah.
when we turned the lights off on our old software package and turned it
Yeah.
on Monday morning over the weekend, we still had to be able to trade.
Yeah.
So, and that's the way I approached it. I said, look, what's the absolute bare minimum that when
Yeah.
we do that, we can still pick up the phone, talk to our customers,
Yeah.
book in surveys, book in services, raise invoices, create reactive call outs.
Yeah.
So we painted that picture, and that included in all departments. So sales, they needed to book surveyors out, and
Mm.
what did that look like? So that was phase one, about
Yeah.
70% of phase one,
Yeah.
basic requirements. But then we also had this 30% and saying, right, if we're going to do this, we need to let's put some additional benefits in there. And
Yeah.
one of the big benefits that we wanted to put in was the booking of our maintenance visits.
Yeah.
So historically, that was a manual process.
Yeah.
So we had to take off 1,000 bookings a month at what it was at that time. Actually, no, not 1,000, 4,000 it was at that time.
Yeah.
4,000 visits we had to do a month. We had to
Yeah.
manually book them in and make sure that the engineer's day is productive. But we wanted the system to do that. And
Yeah.
that was one of the main elements in phase one that we
Yeah.
wanted to roll out because we knew immediately, that was a saving.
Yeah.
That's quite labor intensive.
Yeah.
And if we can get that that sort of process automated and done by the system, and get the system do the
Yeah.
heavy lifting for us, allows us for those administrators to actually get more time back,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and they can use that time towards customers. But yeah, that was phase one. Phase one was about, look, we need to trade. What does it look like to trade? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
what additional sort of bells can we put on the system, to give us an immediate benefit of going to Dynamics?
And there was some interesting sort of stats that came out of phase one, I think, around how much time it actually saved. So was it like 2 full-time for the RSO, for the resource scheduling
Yeah,
optimization?
on the day we did it, it was two, um,
So those people
immediately.
go and spend more meaningful time with the clients,
Correct,
on more
correct.
complex, um,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, they could spend more
challenges.
time on the phone and basically deliver better service, right? That's
Yeah,
that's what it came down to. We could move our time away from an admin task to actually
yeah,
giving time to a customer, which is, we are a service business, right? At the
yeah,
core of what we do is service. So yeah, at the time it was two full heads.
yeah,
But I think the great thing about it is that we've pretty much almost doubled in size, in the last 3 years. Our 4,000 maintenance visits today, or what it was then, now today is almost 7,000.
yeah,
So it was two then, it's five today.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and because we made that decision then, we really seeing the benefits
Reaping the
now.
rewards. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And in that phase one, was there anything around the sales process? So when an order comes in and needs to be placed and then scheduled, etc., was there some automation done in there as well?
Yeah, I always smile when I think about this, because we call it the flow, because it is our biggest flow in our system,
Yeah,
that we've built to date, and we sort of add on to it, as we keep developing. But yeah, we build the flow, and that flow really does do some quite heavy lifting for us in the sales process, where
yeah,
historically, a surveyor goes out, goes into a property, designs a system, comes
yeah,
back, writes the quote up, sends the quote out. What happens after that is quite labor intensive.
yeah,
We then have to communicate with the customer, agree the quote, sign the quote of,
yeah,
manually. We then have to shift that over to the service department, um, and between the sales and service department, there's the installation department. They have to manually go and create the customer, manually fill in the customer's details, manually create the sort of agreement and the systems,
yeah.
and the monthly charges and the monthly booking setups. And it's very labor intensive, where with that flow that we've built at the time, did all that for us. You put the date in at the beginning, and it all flows straight through to the service department. So that was one big automation we put in at the beginning for our sales team.
And that was all part of phase one.
That was
Was
all
that
part
all?
of phase one. Yeah, we
Yeah.
we
Wow.
have we have made it better,
Yeah.
over time. We have continued to evolve that process,
Yeah.
and I think there's more to do. But actually, yeah, a big chunk of that foundations we've laid in phase one.
Yeah. And then what do the what of the subsequent phases looks like after that? Whereabouts are we now? And what else has been achieved on that journey?
So we're in phase three now,
Yeah.
and we're coming to an end of phase three now. So we had
Yeah.
a I had a phase two and a phase three. So phase two was, yeah, we put some bells and whistles on the system in phase one, but it wasn't nearly as much as we wanted to. So
Yeah.
phase two was more, taking that raw foundations that we've laid, and make it even quicker and even better, and make it much easier for the user, sort of a user experience. We improved quite a lot in phase two. Um, but also, like I said, we also wanted to automate something that we never did, that we wanted to do, was automate our reporting, to the customer. Um, so what happens when we go out and do a visit,
Yeah.
albeit a survey or maintenance or reactive call out? We want to do some automation around that, where the system will generate a checklist that the
Yeah.
engineer fills out, and send it to the customer and say, look, we've done your servers, we've checked all your devices, your system
Yeah.
is healthy.
Yeah.
Use this document for your insurance policy or whatever. But that was something that has always been manual, and we left it as a manual process in phase one. But in phase two, we wanted to start automating that. So phase two was all about customer facing documents. How do we improve them? How do we make the journey for the customer better? And like I said, some in-house user experience fixes basically. Phase three is really the sort of blue sky thinking. Right, we've done phase one, we've laid the foundations, the system is working great. Phase two was like, right, we've really improved our user experience, we've really improved our customer experience.
Yeah.
What now that this sector doesn't provide, we can go and build to really stand out, to really be better than the
Yeah.
normal intruder business down the road. And that is what phase three is about. So we started building our own portal
Yeah.
in phase three. And the portal really has two main elements to it. We have a portal which allows customers to log in
Yeah.
and look at their own reports and their own data, and can make changes to that. So that's more for the commercial side. But for the domestic side is, because we pre-book customer services, we didn't want them at the moment. They have to pick the phone up to rebook it. So if we book it in and they said, actually, I can't do Friday, I need to book it for another day, they had to pick the phone up and phone us up, and we felt we can do better than that. So we're now allowing customers to receive a letter from us to say, look, this is a reminder, we're coming next Wednesday to do your service. If this date isn't convenient, click on the below
Yeah.
button, and it takes them to our in-house portal that allows them to find a slot on the calendar that works for them and just click rebook, and it does it for them. There's no need to phone us up and do it that way. And it's a much better user experience. So that was a sort of blue sky thinking that we're
Yeah.
doing in phase three, and we're not quite finished with it. So there's some other bits coming, and I don't want to spoil all our surprises, Rob, but we've got
No.
some more bits coming.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. And I suppose what I'd really like to know is how, because there's a real good chemistry between the teams. It has been from the beginning of the journey.
Mm.
Um, what, how's that worked for you from a client's side? How does it feel? What do you think's worked? What do you think hasn't worked? You know, warts and all.
Yeah.
What's bad, and what do you think? What do you think's made this such a successful process?
Um, I think it's a joint effort, really, isn't it? And I think both parties have realized that from the beginning. I have, anyway. I think when so a couple of things that I'll touch on. One is I don't know. I'm not the expert in Microsoft.
Yeah.
Even though I'm expert on my process and our business and how we try
Yeah.
and do things. I'm not an expert on Microsoft and field service. So it'd be very naive for me to try and tell functional consultants how to
Yeah.
do their jobs. So I think that was really important. There was a personal there was a respect on what on sort of experience, I suppose, and knowledge. I respected that
Yeah.
when Adam Gray at the time, who was the consultant at the beginning, told me, look, Hugo, I don't think you should do it this way. I know you've been doing it like that for 5 years. Don't do it this way. I think you should do it this way.
Yeah.
And then I respected that he would make the right decision. So that was the first element, is that when I asked him to do something, he thought about it, and he
Yeah.
tried to make sure that he accommodates my requirements. But he wasn't
Yeah.
just a yes man. He didn't just go, okay, if that's how we want it, I give it to you like that. There was a lot of sort of, hang on, let's think about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, there was a lot of him saying that's not how you do it. You should do it differently. And I was respectful enough to go, right. I'm open to your input. I'm open to
Yeah.
what you think we should do here, and what the outcome should be. Um, and So that's the first one. The second one is, I think sometimes, or I've learned that if you're trying to be too bespoke, it makes life very hard.
Yeah.
So you need to have a real fine balance between give what Dynamics gives you out of the box, because it's
Mm.
already built, it's already
Yeah.
there for you to use, versus that doesn't work for us. We're going to have to put some JavaScript or bespoke
Yeah.
solutions
Yeah.
in to make it work for us. if you lean towards to one side, either way, if you lean towards out of the box too much and you don't get what you want, you
No,
feel
no, no.
what you feel wanting. But if you do and go and build too many bespoke things,
Yeah,
costs you a lot of money, takes too much time,
yeah.
and actually it takes too long. So yeah, I think those are the two main things. I think it's
So risk
Infinity.
versus reward kind of approach.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think Infinity. The reason the project was successful is because Infinity really understood our requirements, didn't just say yes all the time, actually challenged what I asked for,
yeah.
and then had a real fine understanding, or built a really good balance between a bespoke solution and using out of the box solutions from Microsoft.
And as you go through, because obviously this is an agile approach, right? So we're not sitting here drawing the big master plan at the beginning and
No.
executing it because we're solving small chunks at a time,
Mm.
and it's given us that ability to be agile and make mistakes. I guess there's things as you went through the project where we went, actually, this isn't working. This isn't going to have to work. Can that go back and try a different method? Is that has that happened? Is that something that's
Yeah, it has. I think we're lucky enough that we never really went too far down a rabbit hole and
yeah,
had to turn around. And again, I think that's just the nature of having a good relationship
yeah,
with your functional consultant and with Infinity. I think when we started doing something and Adam or David that's taken over feels this is not the right route, they won't just keep going because I'm saying so. They will actually
yeah,
put a stop to it. So we've been lucky that way, that we didn't end up going down a road and build something for 3 or 4 days and then go, let's chuck that in the bin and start again. But yeah, of course, there were many times when we did something and we put it together and we go, this isn't what we want.
yeah,
And we had to redo it. It's just the nature of building a software solution. You can't perfectly design the thing before you start building. You find loads of bits along the way that you
yeah,
didn't think about in the beginning. And I think um, all I can reference is what worked well for me, and what worked really well for me is not trying to design the thing before we start building. We had a rough
yeah,
idea of
yeah,
what we wanted to deliver,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but we didn't design every single step along the way. It's just first of all,
Yeah.
you'll never stick to it.
No.
Secondly, you're wasting your time because at the time I didn't even know what Dynamics is capable of. So how
Yeah,
can I possibly
yeah,
design a
yeah, yeah,
fully blown system before we build it? And obviously at the time when you start building it, Adam at the time didn't really know our business.
yeah,
Now both Adam and David that's taken over knows our business almost as well as I do.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Designing stuff is a lot quicker and a lot easier because they sort of almost gave me the answer before I asked the question, because
yeah,
they can see it themselves.
yeah.
But yeah, designing a thing and then saying this is how we're going to build it, let's go build it, is not what we did. It was very
No.
agile, and we made a lot of changes, and we were open to changes, and we were open to this
Yeah,
doesn't work, let's try something else. And as long as you take it with that approach,
yeah,
then I think you'll be fine. That's how we were successful in this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And how did you manage to change? So you talked there about designing it, and I guess one of the elements there is the fact that you might design something, you might have in your head this is what it's going to do, but there may be two or three other people involved in the process. Who've got to use it or need the data out of it that have obviously got an opinion as well. How did you manage that? How did you do that change management piece? Because bringing the system in like this um, is difficult, right? You're changing the way that people are working. You're changing the system they're using. They're giving them different tools. How did you manage that piece?
It was really hard. It was really hard. Actually, designing a system and building the system, in comparison to actually implementing it and getting
Yeah,
users to buy into it, and overnight getting used to one thing and then doing something else is a massive
yeah,
challenge.
yeah,
And look, I don't know if this was the right approach, but this is how we did it. We didn't get too many people involved with building the thing, and
yeah,
that's the reality of it. It was it
yeah,
was it was it was me and
yeah,
and and Adam slash David, and that
yeah,
was it.
yeah,
And that was pretty much it. We had a single point at Spy, which was me, that spent pretty much living and breathing this. And then we did have some stakeholders in each department. So how we approached this was, look, I know your process. I know what you guys do. Let me go and build this, and let me put something
Yeah.
together. And then what we did is, every now and again we'll have a sit down and saying, look, this is what we're doing. This is what it looks like. Do you guys have some feedback?
Yeah.
And then they did. They said, yeah, we really like that. Don't like that. Should we do something about that? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
at the time, we would just make a decision as in, look, you don't like it. It's because you don't know it. I promise you it's better. So, because by nature, what people will do is, as soon as they don't understand something, or it looks different, or it feels different, by
Yeah.
nature they're going to go, I don't like it. Um, it's not that you don't like it; it's just that you're not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, there's it's a massive, that's the way we did it. It was a one man band thing, with small sort of stakeholders getting
Yeah.
involved every now and again, and that worked really well for us because there wasn't two or three people fighting over bits that we needed to do. It was sort of all on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I had to put my foot down on some, when we did have the meeting with the stakeholders, when they said we don't like that, I had to sometimes put my foot down and go, you will like it. I promise you. It just, you don't like it today because it looks different, but you will like
Yeah.
it. And that is a big challenge. That is a big challenge to get 200 staff members to buy into it, and do it. But we did it, and to credit to Spy and the staff, they 90% of them took on the challenge. 90% of them
Yeah.
wanted the change. 90% of
Yeah.
them wanted on a new software and wanted a grown-up solution and wanted to
Yeah.
give our
Yeah.
customer better experience and come to work and do something slightly different. And then the 10% that was really uncomfortable with it, um, sort of just tried basically, and over time got used to it, and now we can't live without it basically.
Yeah. 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 Brilliant. So
So
I can't have a call without talking about AI and Copilot. What have
yeah.
you given that any thought? What what does the future look like? I guess for you guys, what you're talking about blue sky thinking. When you're obviously you're quite creative and you're thinking about where the system can go and what it can do. Are you thinking about stuff like Copilot and AI? What it can bring to
Yeah,
Spy?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's something that I'm very keen on, and we started working on it already. We spun up a environment just for that, just for
Yeah.
Copilot and AI. So yeah, our mission is really to embrace technology. It's really to see
Yeah.
what's out there and how they can help us. As a business, um, our fundamentals, the core element of our business is customer service.
Yeah.
And every decision we make, and every process we implement, or every bit of money that we invest in technology or people or
Mm.
whatever, it all surrounds our customer journey. So um, and we fundamentally believe that the next wave of whatever it's called, Copilot AI or whatever you want to call
Yeah. Yeah.
it, will enhance customer service,
Yeah.
and that's what we're all about. So yes, we very open minded to what's coming down the road. And again, Rob, I don't want to give all our secrets away.
No. No. No.
But no, we definitely eyeing up some cool Copilot,
Yeah.
IoT, AI stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we
Brilliant.
want we want to give our customers the best possible solution, and no
Yeah.
doubt those things do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, Hugo, thank you so much for your time. I think we've covered a lot of ground there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we haven't talked about, but I don't think there is anything else. Is there? Can you think of anything?
No, I don't think so. I think we touch on everything. I think yeah. The one last thing I do want to say is,
Yeah.
our project and everything we've done has been a success, and a great success, and that's down to the partner that we chose. So there's no doubt that, without Infinity and your really talented and knowledgeable functional consultants and great team at Infinity, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So anyone out there that wants to know, I'm not getting paid for this. It's truly what I believe. I truly
No,
believe
thank you.
we've been
But I think
very successful.
like you said, it's a partnership. And when we look at
Exactly. Yeah.
successful projects, they've got engaged, successful people that have got that vision as to what they want to achieve, and they really get their business. And I think
Yeah.
certainly in service, this is a journey we're on ourselves as well, by the way, because we have a service desk, we have guys going out fixing stuff as well as consultants going out on the road and deploying these kind of solutions. So we're kind of drinking our own champagne in that sense as well. So we're on that journey, similar to you guys with Microsoft. So yeah, it's really key having that relationship. I think it's so important.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. If you want to know more about Spy or the journey, there's some case studies, video and written on our website. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.